Hey everyone, back again, weekend vibes, or weekly vibes should I say. Really cool plugin to show you today, Cubase AutoFilter. We're doing beats today, it's all about the beats today. I really want to show you this because it reminds me of my old hardware stuff. So, like my Yamaha sampler down here, I've got the A5 here, I had the A4, I had the A3, and this is something that I used to do on the beats all the time back in the jungle days, back in the 90s. So, this is a plugin that really inspires me to do that. It's really cool, it's tucked into Cubase there. And for those who've just joined in or asked before, there's going to be loads of jungle type videos coming as well, drum and bass videos. But more predominantly, I want to show you some stuff about the old days and how I did it and how the processed it and what we did basically. So I've just got to rewire up some stuff in the patch bay, but in future videos, that's definitely coming. How to get that jungle sound, how we did it back in the hardware days, how we can do it in the software days, and also how we can do it in a hybrid way as well. So hold tight for that, and big shout to everyone who's been liking, subscribing, and commentating. And let's go. Cubase 14's AutoFilter. Love this plugin. Okay, so here's a track, little thing I'm working on. We're going to play it through a little briefly, and then we're going to show you the plugin. So you get the idea, there's the elements that have made up the sort of the drums and the bass. There's a few more little extra elements as well, but it's about the beats today. And so I have this little two-step break, which is actually resampled from the drum machine and pattern editor. If you want to see previous episodes, I'll hopefully try and link it somewhere on here, where you can see how I've made that break and how you make the breaks, should I say, and how you resample them into Cubase. Really easy. Check out the previous videos. Okay, so here's the break. And of course, yes, you have your two-step, and that's great. Sometimes two-step just works on its own. You don't need to supplement it. But with myself, I like breaks, and from the breaks days and hip-hop and beats and sampling and vinyl and samplers. And so I like to always have something supplementing, like the kick and the snare. So it's a bit more sort of funky, adds more space, adds more sort of a groove to things. So with this particular break that I've resampled down, yes, it could run like that, which works quite well, but I want it to have more funk and more groove and more sort of, and roll a bit more. I want more rolls, more sort of shuffles. And so I've supplemented that with two of the breaks, which are these. And so you might recognize the breaks, Hot Pants break, but it's been layered and resampled and mangled and all that kind of stuff as well. But what I wanted to show you, which is really cool, is, so for instance, this break on its own, you can hear it's doing something. So what is it doing? So if I open up the channel here, you can see here, obviously I have a little bit of a chain, but then at the bottom here, post fader slot, I have the auto filter. So post fader means it's on the very last one in the chain. And so obviously then anything that goes prior to this chain in the insert slots in Cubase then go into the auto filter. So everything that gets driven into it. And of course, if I put the auto filter at the top, it's going to make things sound totally different. But if I bypass it, have a listen. So that's kind of break how I did it. That's how I resampled it. But now if I hear it with the original break, you can hear the differences. And it's working quite nice, but now I want it to have a bit more depth. I want it to have a bit more lows. So the great thing about AutoFilter is, by the way, all the new plugins in Cubase can be fully resized. So this is cool if you have a nice big monitor. You can actually zoom in, or like me, your eyesight, struggles a bit. So yeah, you can do full screen now with and resizable with the new plugins, which is really, really a nice thing to have. So the AutoFilter, what is it and what is it doing? So when I turn it on, watch this. So it's giving me certain frequencies that I can isolate that then can be rhythmically, automatically cutting off as the plugin chooses, to the range, which is the cutoff which I'm choosing. So it's almost like a rhythmic kind of gate stroke filter, stroke effects type of tool. Now it's really handy for me because back in the sampler days, I would want to isolate certain frequencies to give me that sort of low mid, high mid, tops. And getting that in a sampler, you'd have to go to your filter, and then you go to maybe add a band pass EQ or a high pass or a low pass. And the Yamaha filters are great for that in the A3, 4, and 5 samplers. And I've always struggled to find a plugin that kind of does that without actually stacking up different plugins. And it's just good to have it stock in Cubase 14 now to just go, right, okay, I want to do that. So what I'm doing here is, I'm actually saying, you can see by the pictures here, these are the actual filter curves. I'm just using the low pass filter. So I'm taking out the lows and I'm adding the low, sorry, rhythmically, because it's on the auto mode, rhythmically, automatically, in context with what I'm playing. And yes, it can be dictated by resonance, so you can see the peaks there, and then the range is the cutoff as well, the cutoff values. And of course, we have a wet and dry mix knob where I can impart the filtered sound, sorry, the wet sound with the dry sound. So you can actually have the best of both worlds. So the mix knob 70%, and then obviously attack and release speak for themselves. The attack will then be coming in a bit more sharper, and the release gives it more room to breathe at the end of it. So the really good thing about it is, which I used to do on the sampler days, is I could then choose between the different bands, and you can see them changing now. So low pass, you'll hear, I've got control of that low end energy, but rhythmically. I would never really use manual mode, because I don't have to, which is great. I like to use the auto mode, because then you get a bit more rhythmic funk, but have a listen. Manual mode. Auto mode. So manual mode leaves you stuck in a frequency range, and that's not a bad thing. That's what I used to do. But then I used to do that and then use automation to get to do that. What this plugin is just doing one little flick of a tab, like the auto tab. So the auto tab's then making me go, okay, rhythmically, I'm doing a low pass. So now with the low pass, it means I can add another break on top of that, and then have something doing the lows, something doing the mids, something doing the highs, like this. Which is really good. But just say I didn't want to stack loads and layer loads of breaks. I just wanted this kind of break to just do one thing in particular. Maybe just give me that sizzle, that sheen, that sharpness, that tops, which I might need from this break, because the hot pants, the raw break, the bird break, all these things that it's called, everyone has different names for it. I call it hot pants, and there's many other names, but obviously the original is bird. But you might want to get the tops out of this, because it's a really good break to get the tops out, because all that sizzle and the hi-hats and the sheen is in there. So I might want to just have that. And now I can just go to high pass mode. And that gives me then just the highs, where I can then maybe have the low mids on this second break. Or this. So you start to see the power of this simple plugin. Well, it's not really simple, but it's simple functions that are on it. There's not loads of knobs, which is great. There's not loads of stats to be read out on it. It's literally auto or manual mode, resonance, range, mix. That's it really that you should be kind of looking at. And then you can just choose your frequency and then dial in your range. Also, don't forget as well, you can actually, if you checked out my last episode, everything can be going through the modulators as well. So I can actually have it like that, but then maybe put it on manual mode and then use the LFO modulator to control the range. So it can get really powerful there. And of course, like all the other plugins in Cubase, you can activate the sidechaining as well. So it's really, really powerful. So you can really use, is what I'm trying to say, is you can really use this plugin if you're layering breakbeats to get and zero in on what you want to do for a breakbeat. What do I want from this breakbeat? Do I want the mid? Do I want the lows? Do I want the tops? This is the perfect plugin to do it. And this is how, well, I particularly did it back in the days. We all had our own techniques, but I like to just zero in a certain frequency bands and then restructure and rebuild the break, which I'll be showing in a future episode. Further down in future episodes, because there's going to be a few of them. So here's the lows. Band pass. High pass. Manual mode. Band pass. So it really works really, really well. And that's what we used to do. Like, literally, I would get a band pass range and I would zoom in on what really resonates with this beat, what to bring out more. Obviously, with this particular break, you're really going to go for the kind of tops on it. But there is a nice little mid-range in here. And obviously, with the resonance, I could choose that bump to choose right through. So I would pick up the resonance. I would pick my peak, and then I would range through the peak to find out what really stands out in this break and then sculpt it to taste. Like that there. I love that ringing sort of low mid kind of sound. Yeah, resonance can be a bit sharp, but then that's fine. You can just dial it back down a little bit. And then you can maybe use it in the manual mode like that. And that's one thing I used to do quite a lot. But now what if you wanted sort of more movement, more rhythmical, I would probably use like on the A5000 and the 4000, the 3000, you have the knobs, so you could actually do automation and you could draw it in Cubase manually and then automate this. But now we can just do the auto mode, and now I can actually sweep through. Choose my range, choose my peak. See, I'm really happy with that now. Bypass, let's listen to before and after. Without. Which works quite nice. With. So you get that kind of nice ringing kind of tonal sort of element, and so it saves you maybe stacking up loads of different layer breaks to kind of get that sort of ringing sound. You might even put a little snare underneath it, trying to get that sort of popping kind of ringing sound, because on a sound system, that really, really will cut through, and it sounds great, like loud, in a club, in a rave, in a festival, in a PA rig, just that kind of nice ringing. It makes the breaks feel a bit more live and organic, and I like that. That's just something that I always did with my breaks. So I'll be showing more of that in future episodes. I'm going to load up the samplers, I'm going to break them down, the tracks that I've done, and we're going to go through it bit by bit, the old school way, the new school way, and the hybrid way. So yeah, great plugin. I hope you got something out of this one. Again, like I said, low pass, band pass, high pass. There's no rules to it. You just choose your frequency. But I love the fact that we can actually just pick a frequency and then go, okay, right, that break's great to layer with. It's ready to roll, and I'm happy. High pass, mid, lows. Yeah, great plugin. So if you want to see more about that, more plugins, more techniques, let me know in the comments. Any videos you might want to see, let me know in the comments. I've already noted a few that people have been mentioning of the last few videos. Don't worry, I'm going to be doing them as well. Thanks for the likes, subscribes, and comments, and I'll see you next week. Peace.